Guys, I'd also like to introduce you to Justin. He's already on the panel. So Justin is an amazing host. He's been hosting, so many amazing spaces. He's also the host of Benzinga, and I personally am a fan. Justin, would you like to join me as a co-host?
I would love to. Hello. Good morning, Manisha. It's a lot of talking going on this morning, so I'm glad to jump in and help. As you mentioned, I'm a writer and producer for Benzinga. I do about 4 spaces a week, and also a couple of web shows on top of that. So I'm thrilled to be with you all today. So let's talk about what topic is coming up next, Manisha, and you kind of guide me through anybody who needs to be introduced as new people are coming in.
Absolutely. We're just closing in on this panel, and the next one is bringing institutions and businesses to DeFi. We have SynFutures, RailGun, Push Protocol, and Foundership on the panel.
Beautiful. Okay, so let's go ahead and go through through the lineup with them. Are all of these people speakers? Are you all speakers, guys? I don't see every one of you. Do we have SynFutures with us?
I think so far we have Santosh, we have Harsh.
Okay.
We have Mark.
All right.
Mark is from SynFutures.
All right. Yeah, I was going to. Go ahead.
I think we're waiting for Alan. Okay, Alan is here. Yeah.
All right. So let's go ahead and start with Alan in terms of introducing themselves. Alan, why don't you just say something quickly about yourself and your project, please?
Yeah, sure. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, wherever you may be. I'm Alan, one of the co-founders of the RailGun privacy project, and we make strong encryption tech for the cryptocurrency space. So we make private EOAs.
Okay. And Manisha, are we going down to Harsh next in terms of somebody who hasn't been introduced yet?
This is a completely new panel, Justin. You just came in at the right time.
Okay, so perfect.
Yeah, we'd go one by one.
Okay, so we'll go over to Harsh. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and your project, please?
Sure, love to. By the way, Justin, you have to teach me how to conduct spaces like this. Love the energy.
That's funny. It was a hidden talent, Harsh. I didn't know that I had it until I started doing it.
Dude, you are amazing. I'll probably copy your style somewhere. But yeah, moving on, folks. GM, everyone. I'm Harsh, founder and project lead of Push Protocol. What is Push Protocol? Well, Push Protocol enables native Web3 communication. What does that mean? Well, it means that using the decentralized protocol, any dApp, any smart contract, any wallet can finally interact with each other in terms of notifications, in terms of chatting, and even in terms of conducting a push space, which is a decentralized version of Twitter Space. We started back in 2020, and from then to now, we have powered more than 45 million notifications, have over 700 partners, including the like of Uniswap, Gitcoin, Polygon, and so on. And yeah, very excited to be here.
Okay, perfect. Manisha, did you ever get a chance to introduce yourself? I don't know if probably nobody called on you to do so, but do you want to take the opportunity to?
Hi, everyone. This is Manisha. I work with Router Protocol, mostly marketing and operations. Before that, I have had my own Web3 marketing agency, and it's also something that probably in future I'm going to take forward. So far, that's been the journey. It's been 2+ amazing years. I've been in this industry, and I love every single day of it.
Okay, that is fantastic, and I bet she hasn't taken credit for it. So, she's the one who put together this this great super mega panel thing for Twitter Spaces, which I think is actually a really cool idea. It's part of why I want to be part of it. The idea of speaking to 50 projects approximately within one spaces. It's a really cool way to absorb information, and it's a cool way to be able to have a big tent discussion. So I love it. So great job there, Manisha. Are we going on to talking about account abstraction now, or bringing institutions into DeFi?
So, Justin, just a quick one. I think I'd like to ask Santosh to give a quick intro. He's from Foundership, and then followed by Mark.
Sure, great guys, super awesome to be here. GM, I'm right here in Bangalore, telling all of you, and what an awesome job Manisha has put in. So about me, I'm co-founder at Foundership, which is a Web3 accelerator, started in 2021. We have accelerated 21 companies so far, with six of them have raised $3.9 million. Who says there's a bear market? And a cumulative valuation of $63 million. And tomorrow we are starting another cohort with Polygon, because we do L1, L2 specific cohort. There we have 11 startups worldwide starting tomorrow. Again, who says bear market? And I have been a founder since 2008 and built an amazing event ticketing platform. And before that, I was part of eBay in London, BBC in London, hardcore engineer. Again, learning smart contract that you will see me in November coding and getting into some ETH hackathons. And that's me, Santosh. Thank you so much.
Okay, very cool. And let's go over to Mark as well. Hi, Mark. Do you want to introduce yourself and your project?
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Justin. So I'm part of the core team at SynFutures. We're a decentralized perps exchange that allows people to permissionlessly list and trade any asset on the networks we're deployed on. We're currently on Polygon and ZK Sync. We'll likely deploy on ZK EVM soon. And essentially, the concept behind it is we allow anyone to come and create their own futures or perps market for any asset in less than 30 seconds. So think Uniswap v3, but for derivatives.
Okay, well, perfect. So let's get into the first question, guys. We are talking about bringing institutions and businesses to DeFi. I believe that's where we are. Am I correct, Manisha? I just want to make sure about that.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's talk about what's going to bring them in. I've been hearing, and this is, you might as well just launch in with some unpopular points of view. You know, when I talked to Kevin O'Leary a couple of weeks ago, his attitude toward what the SEC is doing was, well, you know, good. He was saying, you know, up till now, big money has not been in the market. The big institutions have not really participated. They've put in you know, kind of exploratory amounts of money, what might be a big deal within the DeFi space, but is not really a big deal for TradFi. And he's saying until we have a stable regulatory structure, we are not going to get the real money into the space. We're not going to get, you know, laser eyes with $100,000 Bitcoin, et cetera, without that kind of backing. You know, Santos, what do you think of that? What do you think it's going to take? Do we need a stricter Gary Gensler, you know, beating up Coinbase and beating up Binance as he has been, and whoever his next targets are, in order to get to the place where we need to be in the U.S., where we get actual big investors pouring real money into the space?
Yeah, I think great question. And yeah, no thanks to Gary, or no thanks to lot many folks who think, hey, things are not happening here. We need a lot more people. In a way, what has happened in the last 3 months, at the least, has now brought too much of clarity, at least on the other side of the world, where regulations are getting much more clarity. And I don't think US is going to follow. It's going to definitely lead, considering it has been an innovation country for so many decades. And yes, you could always question things and not give clarity, and use ACC as a way to kind of question the entire landscape. But looking at the kind of quality sort of things happening in this space, and already multi-billion-dollar DeFi, more and more questions are asked, we will be producing a better ecosystem for builders and for new ideas to come. So this space is not stopping, whether the SEC likes it or not. That's my 2 cents in a way here.
But you know, I'm sure Gary would be offended at what you're asserting here. He's not trying to stop anything. He's trying to protect the consumer. That's what he said in his own press release.
Absolutely. In the space that we are in, if this is the decade, this is the century that we are all building in, and we want millions and billions of users to come in. And what happened during the pre-internet era, like I literally coded in 99, right? And the web.com boom, right? So nobody believed that there will be $10 billion, 10 billion users, or my 5 billion users going to be on the internet. The same thing is being talked today, right? So the question that is being asked is in the right spirit. We all, as platforms and protocols, we have all the fiduciary role to play to keep the space clean and highly usable, plus high value for the end consumers of business. So the questions that is SEC asking is in the right spirit. I think there might be a plus and minus here and there, but those are the questions which is going to guide us to design the frameworks and regulations in my mind.
Right.
And also not use emojis
Yeah,
because
I'm
Gary
sorry. Go
doesn't
ahead,
want
Mark.
us to use emojis.
I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead,
Go
Mark.
ahead, Hart. What
Oh,
were you
yeah.
saying? Continue.
And okay, so I was just saying also we should stop using emojis because apparently Harry doesn't want us to do that also, right? Uh, so
Uh-huh.
I have a different take on DeFi and driving institutions over here.
Right.
First of all, I think DeFi is still growing. One example is Lido protocol, right? It's also DeFi and it has grown tremendously in July. So it's not like DeFi is stopping. Like that's the beauty of DeFi that it will not stop. Coming to why we or what will drive institutions over here, I do feel I do feel that when we make the technology more seamless, and this is where account abstraction comes in, this is where communication fits in, this is where a lot of things come in, wherein we are eliminating the UI and UX gap. I do feel that is the point where it opens up people to try more and more things in DeFi, which is happening. Like PayPal just launched a stablecoin, right? So that's happening. But I do feel that institutions will basically be driven by these connectors like PayPal and connectors like these hedge funds that are
Right.
dabbling in Web3. That I feel is a right thing where we are starting. I also feel regulations, of course, that will drive more clarity and more innovations because while we have so many good news on this side, we also have to keep in mind that there are still scams that happen and that scare away a user for good. And if you are a good hedge fund, you will not put your money in even if the risk is 10%. If the risk becomes
Uh-huh.
1% or 0.001%, then yeah, that is where we need to be. So regulations, I think, will do that. But according to me, right now, SEC is not focusing on regulations as much as
Uh-huh.
they are focusing on we are not understanding the tech right. So let's just ban emojis, let's just ban everything in and out, and then we'll see. I don't think that will work.
I don't know, Mark. What do you think? I think that the U.S. government has a long, illustrious history of being very upset by anything they can't tax. So I have a feeling that it has something to do with that, since that's one of the primary functions of government. Do we have Gary all wrong here? Is he claims in his press release that he's out to protect the consumer? What kind of knock-on effect do you think this will have, and will he be able to create a structure? Will the SEC be able to create a structure that makes the real, family offices and real institutional investors, happy enough to pour billions into the space?
Yeah, I think the speculation is that Gensler and even his counterpart at the CFTC, they're trying to plant the flags as to who regulates crypto because they know that this is going to be a big movement. It's part of it is it's a little bit of a career move, and then to what you mentioned, anything that the government can tax, but also anything that the government can't control is a huge kind of concern with them, right? So it's interesting because I've sat down with members of the SEC, including Commissioner Peirce, who is known as Crypto Mob, for dinner, and we've talked about DeFi. And I think the major challenges for them. I mean, of course, their core focus is protecting the consumer, but there's a bit of disagreement internally about how to approach that. Gensler takes his regulation by enforcement approach, which I think most of us can agree is the wrong approach. But going back to institutional adoption for a second, Harsh mentioned that UI UX is one of the barriers, and I agree with that. But I think it's secondary to regulation, right? The reason I say that is if you think about UI UX, institutions, wherever there's opportunity for arbitrage or some kind of profit opportunity, they will be there, right? Doesn't matter how high that UX or UI barrier is, there's somewhere to make money, they're coming. The only thing that's stopping them in DeFi is regulation, because I sit down with a lot of the major investment banks, family offices, usually on the bigger institutional sides. If you look at like the iBanks, what they'll tell you is on the trading side, there's no way they can get involved in DeFi unless everyone in that pool is KYC'd. And the reason is they need to know who they're trading against. It's part of their compliance requirements. And so I think we've got such a long way to go before we see DeFi adoption. And that's, quite sad to say because I'm in DeFi, but institutional adoption will take some time because regulation will take time. I mean, the US is kind of stalling on this regulation side, but even in markets that are very progressive, like Hong Kong and Singapore, what they're really focused on is centralized crypto regulation, right? So they haven't even really addressed the DeFi side yet. And it may be some years from now until they have a good grasp of even the simple things like Bitcoin and ETH. Like we're struggling to even put out ETFs for that, right? So I think we have a bit of ways to go for DeFi.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Alan, Mark brings up a good point. I mean, Gary might have some political aspirations wrapped up in all of this. It is possible, after all. I always try to speak highly of him whenever I can. Because he's so unpopular. Frankly, every time Gary Gensler gets brought up, people in Web3 have things to say. So I like to throw in some fun facts about him. Like, did you know that Gary Gensler ran a 40-mile marathon, Alan? Isn't that impressive?
Yeah, man. I could barely run to the fridge.
Dude, I'd die. I'd literally die if I tried to do that. What about the MiCA regulations? Have you been following them? Do you think that they're doing it any better, or are they kind of in the same place that we are?
I think Alan,
You got muted.
this has been the theme of this marathon. A lot of network issues.
No, it's
Also,
okay. It happens all the time. What do you think, Benicia? Have you been following the MiCA regulations?
Not really, Justin. I mean, honestly, sometimes it makes all the sense to cut down all the noise around you and just focus, put your head down and just focus on whatever your next thing is. It just helps, honestly.
Sure. No, understandable. Alan, are you
And
back with us?
And just to put it out there, otherwise, I think I'm gonna get killed. So there's also Bhavan there, who is managing who's here from Router Protocol's official channel. Since you did mention that this entire marathon has been arranged, the whole team has been working day and night, and I did want to give a shout out to Bhavan out there. He's
awesome. Well, if anybody wants to come on from Router and talk to it, we could always do it, but we're about to change topics, of course.
The next panel, we have our CEO coming in, Ram. So of course, I mean, next one, looking forward to it.
Okay, perfect. Santosh, let's go back over to you just to follow the order.
Sure.
Do you think that, well, somebody had mentioned, I think you had mentioned that Singapore is doing a little bit better, but I know for a fact that 3-4 years ago, Singapore was not nearly so open. Aren't they just kind of, aren't they in many other jurisdictions? You see it in Latin America, you see it all over Asia and the APAC region. Are they just picking up the opportunity that the U.S. is dropping by kind of forcing innovators out of the space here with the regulatory structure?
Yeah, so to kind of agree with the question, I think you already had some input in that. US definitely be more transparent and have a structural approach to this. With Gary and many confusions that have been created in the last 12 months, I don't think that is helping at all. People who are looking out from US, the institutions who are looking out, the VCs who are looking out from US massively to get into this space are not getting clarity, while Singapore can only do a little bit of things. Justin, it can't do everything about it. Singapore needs at least another 2 or 3 more, and I'm happy. I can go back and say I think UK is doing something better. They are at least looking at this space more structured way, at least the real world asset side. DeFi, I wouldn't say yet. Micah, you did ask the question. Yes, there are some attempts there to figure out how can we help protect all the users and the investors and everything. So there is a bit of efforts being put in those kind of like geo and locations such as Singapore and UK and part of Europe. But I don't think there is a big market yet as US, which could definitely get a lot more people rally to take the space, to take Web3 where it destined, and in fact for the DeFi. So the answer is not yet. Singapore doing what it could do. They were struggling. I think we have witnessed a lot of failure in the last year itself during the Luna crisis and things like that. So yes, but in any other way, they are at least the MAS is certifying, letting crypto companies come and operate with some sort of framework, and they are at least moving faster and addressing what they can do, what they can allow, or things like that. So at least those clarities for builders and new startups are very, very important. While Dubai has done a lot of VARA compliant thing, but I think we need a major sort of location, could be Europe coming into the space and say, hey guys, this is our clarity. And Justin, to be honest about it, because I've spent at least 20 years from the pre-web.com era, I see this a golden opportunity for any country to take a stand and really attract billions of dollars and a huge set of people to come and build from there. So the answer is it's still evolving. Hopefully in 2024, or the G20 regulation, G20 countries are also trying to do something together. All finger crossed. No clarity as such that we can say for sure, hey, go to Singapore and this is going to be sorted out. Not that much. Might be 90%.
Right.
That's where it
Right.
is.
But it does make me wonder if it's going to take some of the emphasis off of Silicon Valley, which is probably just as well for the space overall. I mean,
It is.
honestly, there's been
It
a
is.
disproportionate amount of focus given to Silicon Valley up till now. But guys,
Agree.
I mean, it's totally an awesome topic. I am going to switch over to the next topic, which has to do with account abstraction. But thank you. Hey, everyone in the audience, follow these guests. We have brilliant people going off stage. We have brilliant people coming on. Santos, Mark, were you just on my last show? I feel like I had you on my last panel.
I
Like,
was, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
and
what
then I'm
topic?
like, no, you're just getting senile, Justin. Okay, well, it's good to see you again, Mark.
Same here,
We
same here.
we should stay connected. All right, guys, and thank you, Harsh, all of you, brilliant. Thank you, Manisha, for setting this panel up.